The reason that Rashi asked the question that the Torah did not have to begin from Bereishit, it should have started from a Chodesh Hazeh, because the whole story of Bereishit is totally not understandable. The whole thing simply cannot be taken in any way at face value from what's written over there. That God made the fish and God made the stars, and in this day he made this. How did he make them? Doesn't explain how he made them or what God is or the whole. In order to understand what this is, the Bereishit, you have to have some sort of ideas from Kabbalah, because the simple narrative from the Torah, it seems like lahavdil, some sort of Greek mythology. God is one sort of a big character in the Torah, and then God creates the world, and he sort of looks over the world and sees what's going on. And when things sort of get out of hand, he Adam eats from the tree, so he gets involved. But usually God is pretty much uninvolved in the whole thing. Uninvolved, and the world is a separate entity and God is a separate entity. He's just a very major character in this strange story, the strange narrative, which is the Torah. And so therefore, it might have been better just to leave that whole thing out, because in any case, you're not going to understand it anyway. You're not going to understand it anyway. And like I said, creating the world, you have in the 10 Commandments, you have the fourth of the 10 Commandments. 6 days God created the heavens and the earth, and the seventh day he rested. That's enough of a mystery. But at least you'll know that there's a creator. Good. You don't have to have this. On the first day he created the light, on the second day the firmament, on the third day he created the plants. It's very misleading. The story of Bereishit is very misleading. And it seems in a way to support idolatry. Idolatry, that God is really far away. And if you want to get close to him, just use your head. Just use your head. You're do whatever you can. Up to you. If you worship the sun or the moon or something and it works, so God forbid, go for it. Go for it. So that's, according to the Ramban, that's Rashi's question. The Torah should not have begun, he brings Rav Yitzchak, the Torah should not have begun from Bereishit. It should have started out with the first commandment and make the Torah more practical, more user-friendly. How do they call it? So now the Rebbe is explaining to us really what is this Kabbalah that we should be learning. A little bit of it. What does it mean God created the world? And what does that mean to us? And what is God? And why did he create the world? Why tell us this? What does it mean? So let's see. Bereishit Bora Elokim et Hashemayim v'et ha'oretz. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. In the beginning, Bereishit, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Just by the way, it says that it was, I guess, in the first temple, maybe between the first and the second temples. No, it must have been in the second temple. Sorry. That there was a Tel Aviv. The Greeks ruled over the world, and they wanted. They were very intellectual, very cultured people, the Greeks, and they were also big philosophers. They really, it interested them. What's truth? What is the world made of? How does everything work? So of course they became aware of the Torah. They knew there was such a thing as Jews, no secret, and they knew that the Jews learned the Torah, and they became tremendously interested in the Torah and in the wise men, and there's stories with Rabbeinu HaKodesh, that was the Romans actually. Then earlier they began. Anyway, one of the signs of this interest is the Talmi Melech. There was a king, and he took 70 elders and he put them, Jews, and he put them in separate rooms. And he said to translate the Torah. And they all translated the Torah exactly the same. And they made 10 changes, each one of them independently of the other. And the first change they made is in this, Bereishis Bor Elokim at the Shemayim words. In the beginning, created God the heavens and the earth. That's what it says. The beginning created God the heavens and the earth. The word et also means with. So in the beginning, God, the beginning created God with the heavens and the earth. Seems that the beginning created God. Now, Greek philosophy, I learned a little bit of it in university. They believe that creation in some form or another always existed. Plato, the forms, and then this. In some form or another, creation always existed in a spiritual form, in a metaphysical form, and but there was always something. There was always something. That's what they believe, the Greeks. And from the Torah, it seems sort of to support this. Why? Because here we have God. Here, look, what does it say? Bereishit, at the beginning, created God. In other words, God is a force. What does science say? There were black holes, there was a big bang, and there was something, and this something or other interacted with itself however it did, and it caused, big bang, I guess that's a positive thing, and a black hole, that's a negative, who knows what. But there was always something, and this something from itself made this Elokim, which is power. It made Elokim the Shemayim. So how did they change it? They changed that instead of Bereishit Bor Elokim, they changed it Elokim Bor Bereishit. That God created the beginning. Which that makes totally no sense. At least what they said makes a little sense. There was always something. The chances that from this something, whatever it was created all these people with eyes and nose and everything, it's like, trillions and trillions to one, but it's possible. Could be. But mathematically or scientifically, the possibility that there's God and he created it, that's zero. You can't prove God scientifically. It's a total different sense inside of a person. Sense of faith, the sense of... So this is really a big thing. We're going to get soon to the holiday of Hanukkah. We'll talk about this, the war between the Greek ideology and Jewish ideology. But suffice it to know that without Chassidut, the Greek ideology makes a lot of sense. And it's very pervasive. And it's very convincing. And a lot of very religious Jews really believe it without knowing that it's Greek philosophy. Without knowing. In other words, God is some sort of a being. And he creates other beings. He creates other beings. But the fact of the matter is not. God is not a being. God is not a being. God is the source of all being. And he's involved in all being. Well, let's learn. Here we go. Ready? Bereishit Bor Elokim. In the beginning, Elokim created the heavens and the earth. Perish Pashat, the simple meaning is, in the beginning of the creation of the heavens and the earth, the first thing that God made was the heavens and the earth. Bereishit, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Techila, the beginning of the creation of the world, was the heavens and the earth. At the Shamayim.
Wasn't light the first thing?
No, let's just take the first. Here, this is what the sentence. This is this.
And even before that, wasn't the material that light and the heavens, the earth, and the waters were made from?
Rashi says even waters were before that, right? There are going to be questions on the sentence, but the simple meaning of this sentence is, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. That's what it says, right? Then afterwards, you'll have questions. It says that there was water and that the Spirit of God was on the water. Where did the water come from? So, well, let's see. Well, let's just see this one thing. Here it says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. It seems first he created the heavens and then he created the earth, right? Perish Pashat, the simple meaning is that in the beginning of the creation of the world, there was the heaven and the earth. The heaven, that includes Kolel, it includes Kol Tzava Shamayim, all of these things in the heavens, the planets. That the earth, also you can say the angels, the earth includes Kol Tzava Ha'oretz, everything on the earth. The atoms, the plants, the rocks, this. Kamayim Rizal, like the rabbi said in Midrash Rabbah. Tzarech Lavan, we have to understand, Hanlo Mavur isn't not explained afterwards. Briat v'yitalvot hashamayim. 1 second. Why does it say in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth? And then it starts going and enumerating what God created. Leave it at this. Say in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. That's enough. That's enough. Created the heavens, created the earth. The heavens includes light. The earth includes water. Everything is included. Right? In the beginning, that created the whole thing. Next, let's go on. One of the things God created was man and plants and planets and animals. Enough. It says, if so, we don't understand. We have to understand. If this first sentence means that God just created everything, so why does it explain afterwards the Briat v'yitalvot hashamayim v'nivroim? Afterwards it explains how God created the heavens and the sun, the sky, stars, and the sun and the moon, the stars. But they're prat individually, like it says afterwards. Vayomer Elokim Yerakia, let there be a firmament. V'yikra Elokia Shamayim. He called this firmament. He called heaven. Then on the third day it says Tad She'al Oretz, let the earth grow plants. Imkon, if so, why does it say Techila Briat Hashamayim Oretz? Maybe this is just like a title, huh? This is like a title. Bereishis Bor Elokim et Hashamayim Oretz. Some people say yes. Seems that from Rashi that's what this is just a title. Bereishis, the beginning of this is the beginning of how God created the heavens and the earth. Title. Then afterwards it says, God created light. He said, let there be light. But the Rebbe is asking, where we go? The Rebbe is asking, what do you have to have a title for? What does it have to have a title? That's all it is just a title. We have to understand, if so, why does God, if God is going to make all the details afterwards, what does he have to have in the beginning that God created the heavens and the earth? What do you need a title for in the Torah? Is there any other place in the Torah that they make a title? Right? Here is the story of how the Jews got out of Egypt. There's no such thing. Here is the saga of Abraham and his two sons. There's no general sentences like this.
Well, I got a question. Is there anything besides heaven and earth?
We'll see.
Some title.
Let's see. Let's see. That's what the Rebbe is going to say. It must be that this is talking about that God created something that's not included in the heavens and the earth. What is this thing? Gam, also, hello, is it not so that the beginning of creation, hayamayim, it was water? Kamosha Pirish Rashi, like Rashi explains on the pasuk Bereishis Bora. What does he say? That in the beginning, Rashi asked this question. That in the beginning there must be water. It says that the Spirit of God was on the face of the water. So it seems that there was just God and water. Gam also, imo yasa kavana, if really the intention here was al perish zeh, the simple meaning of pashud alone, haya Omer, it said, Bora Elokim et hashamayim ve'et oretz. God created the heavens and the earth. What's this word Bereishis doing here? It could have said, God created the heavens and the earth. That would have been a general title, right? This is the title. God created the heavens and the earth. This word Bereishis is totally extra in the beginning. Just say he created the heavens and the earth, that's all. You know that if he created them, there was nothing before that. Like it says another time, like it says later on, in Bereishis later on. Ad makom asher haya. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. It should have said not Bereishit, it should have said the word Batchala. I'm sorry. Batchala bora Elokim et hashamayim v'oretz. It could have said in the beginning. The word for beginning is Batchala. In the beginning, the first thing. That's the language, biblical language. Like it says later on. In the place where he was, his temple, his tent was Batchala, in the beginning. beginning. That's what's talking about Yaakov. And in the tribes, it says also, Al Davara Kesef, when the tribes, when they left, the brothers, when they left Yosef, so he said that all of a sudden one of Yosef's servants stopped them, Al Davara Kesef, because of the money that was Ba'am Tachatenu Batchala, and the relating to their father. The money that was in our sacks in the beginning. When the Torah wants to use the word beginning, it uses the word Batchala. Batchala, not Bereishit. Also it says, Vayered Yoradnu Batchala Nishbar Ochel. Again, the brothers of Yosef, we came down in the beginning in order to get food. They're explaining to Yosef why they came. The Nimsa, so it comes out from this language that it says, Lomar al Haktahekdem, when it's talking about the first thing, it should use the language of Tchila, the beginning. That's biblical language. All of a sudden here, it uses the word Bereishit. Mipnei ma, why does it say here Bereishit? Okay, now the Rebbe is going to give the answer. Ella, but a kavana, the intention is like this. Batchala means he kodem yetzirat kol hanivraim, before God created anything, before God created heaven, before he created earth, before he created the spiritual, before he created the physical, before he created any individual creations, Mesaper, the Torah is telling us, Mehit Avut Atzilut. It's talking about the creation of the world of Atzilut. Okay, in general, there are four what we call worlds. These are not really worlds, it's four dimensions of existence. Four dimensions of existence. Just like in mathematics, you have to think that something that's one-dimensional is included in something that's two-dimensional. And that's included in something three-dimensional. That's included in four-dimensional. For instance, you have, we talked about this before, you have a point and then you have a line. According to geometry, there are an infinite number of points in a line. A point is no dimensional, and a line is one-dimensional. So let's say for our purposes, a point is one-dimensional and a line is two-dimensional. Okay, it's a dimension. A line has an infinite number of points in it. Then we have a plane. A plane has an infinite number of lines in it. So that's a different dimension. And then a cube has an infinite, it can be sliced into an infinite number of planes because a plane has no thickness to it. These are all imaginary. So that's like the world of Atzilus. That's like the world of Atzilus. Really, this is not a good example. I'll give you a better example. A point, let's say, is 0 dimensions. A line is 1 dimension. How many points go into a line? Infinite number of points, because a point has no dimensions whatsoever. A line at least has 1 dimension. It's length. A plane has 2 dimensions, length and height. That's 2-dimensional. A cube has 3 dimensions. It has height and it has width and it has depth. So you can put an infinite number of planes inside of a cube and an infinite number of lines in a plane and an infinite number of points. So how many points can you put in a cube? Makes no sense. Infinite, 3 times infinite. Okay, now how many cubes can you put into mathematics? That really makes no sense. So I'm just giving an example. Atzilut is something like, in our example, mathematics. It's a dimension of reality that's above and includes all creation. Creation comes from the next world. Below Atzilut is Bria. Bria means creation. It says that's the world of the souls. Below that is a lower dimension. That's the world of Yetzirah. That says is the world of the angels. Below that is the world of Asiya, spiritual Asiya, physical Asiya. Physical Asiya is here's this world. Spiritual Asiya is above the stars. It says there's these angels with the 70 nations get their power from these angels, these Sarim, what are chief angels, something that are above the stars. Okay, let us suffice us to say that Atzilus is ultimate reality, but it's a revelation of pure godliness, but it's not God. not God. So in order for God to make the world bria, create the world, that first of all he had to create something which was not really a creation. Creation is bria. But he had to reveal himself, and that's Atzilut. This world of Atzilut. And that's what's hinted at Bereishit. The word Bereishit hints to us that before God created the world, as he revealed this aspect of himself called Atzilut. Whenever you read in Maimarim, or you read in Kabbalah about the 10 Sfirot, it's always referring to 10 pure aspects of God as they are in Atzilut. Another name you can call Atzilut is the Creator. Really, the lowest aspect of Atzilut is the Creator. Oh, so if so, this is what the Ramban was referring to that you can't understand. That maybe this whole thing about Bereishit should be taken out of the Torah because we can't understand it anyway, right? It's very misleading. So the Rebbe says, it's true it's misleading, but I'm going to try to make it a little bit user-friendly and show you that the reason that God put it into the Torah, why he did put it into the Torah, is to teach us something very, very deep and very, very important. If nothing other than the fact that the Torah is a big mystery, and creation is even a bigger mystery. I tell you there, Razeh Olam, that says that the what the Magid of Mezrich said, Razeh Olam, the secrets of the world are deeper than the secrets of the Torah. It tells us about the creation of the world. That's why it says Bereishit Hainu Bechinat Chachma. This is the level of Chachma, the highest aspect of Atzilut. Like it says, Bayar Reshit Lo, Reshit Chachma. Now, in human, let's sort of make this relevant to us. It says that God created us in his image. So if we look at ourselves, we can get a little bit of idea of how alive and real that God is. But in a human being, this Chachma and Bina. Bina means understanding. Understanding is a very unique thing to humans. Understanding. Understanding, how do you say, extrapolating, objective, being objective. Chachma is above understanding. Chachma means attaching to ideas, reality, which cannot be understood. Chachma. In human personality, that's called faith, emunah. In our case, faith in God. Chachma, faith, emunah. I mean, practically speaking, if a person didn't have some sort of faith, I don't think he would be able to get out of bed in the morning. I mean, you have to, no one knows what's going to be. But you just believe that this is the way things are going to be. But it doesn't take that much emunah to get out of bed in the morning. But still, you have to have it, right? People have to. Paranoia comes when people don't have any faith in reality. They can't flow. Who knows what's going to be? They just think about themselves. They're like what they're trying to do now with the masks and the closings and the things like that. Think about yourself. Chachma means be connected to something that's above understanding. Chachma, faith. That's Reishis Chachma. This is the Bereishis that it's talking about. It's talking about the true reality is something which is above understanding. Reishis Chachma. Homo Bereishis, that's what it says, Bereishis Bora. That's what it means that in the beginning, God Bora, he created. What does it mean, Bora? Hainu base Reishis. Base, there are two Reishis. What is it? Reishis, first of all, it says is Chachma. But there's two beginnings. Chachma, Ilah, the upper Chachma, the Chachma Tatoa, and the lower Chachma. Oh. So we see that there's a lot being hidden from us over here. But it's not being hidden just in the Torah, it's being hidden every moment in reality. Says the Rebbe, there's two types of what's called Chachma. There's what's called the upper Chachma and the lower Chachma. The upper faith and the lower faith. Let's call it Chachma. What does this mean? Base Reishis, two types of Chachma. Reishis in Yonim, the idea of Reishis, it means Hatchala, beginning. A general beginning Hatchalat, Hatchala aklalit, the general beginning, et hahitpashtut, of the results which come after it. First of all, there was this aspect of Chachma, of God that he revealed, Atzilut, and now it's called Bereishit because that's the beginning of everything that's coming after it. That's just like in a human being. Sfirat Chachma, this aspect of Chachma, this is the beginning of Mochin, this is the beginning of intellect. And the beginning of the creation of the world. How did God create the world? What does the Bible tell us? God created the world from his speech, not from his wisdom. Why is it called, the beginning is called God's wisdom? It says because the aspect of God's speech, Malchut, the lowest of the 10 Sfirot, this is called God's upper speech. This is also another type of Reishit. This is the two Reishit we talked about. One is the highest aspect of Atzilut, and the other one is how it comes down into the lowest aspect of Atzilut. Reishit is the beginning for the midot, for God's emotions. The 6 days of creation correspond to God's 6 emotions. We'll move on so it's understood, and murgash, we can feel it also in our soul. Okay, so what's going on over here? God creates the world. Let's say, what are the two things that are really unique in a human being? Two things that are really unique in a human being. First of all, a human being has faith, can go outside of himself. Can go outside of himself. And second, a human being can speak. Human beings can speak intelligently. The sign of a person's wisdom, the sign of a person's integrity, conscience, all these things that are above understanding come out through his speech, how he talks, how he acts. And there was the lowest aspect of a person, that's what reveals his highest aspect. This is the same thing also by God. That's what's called the two levels of Chachma, the highest aspect of Atzilut and the lowest aspect. Let's look at a human being. A dibur, speech, shorsho min Chachma. Speech comes from this aspect of Chachma. Like it says, Abba Yesed Brata. Like it says, the father founded the daughter. This is a Kabbalistic way of saying Abba is always called Chachma. Look in the Tanya, the third chapter, right in the beginning. Abba is Chachma, and Brata is the daughter. Okay, what does this mean, the father, the daughter? Like we said, Bereishit, Beit, two Reishit. There's two things that are the beginning. One is the highest aspect of Atzilut, and the other is the lowest aspect of Atzilut. This is before the creation. That's what Bereishit means. It means something that was there before the creation. Right? Before Bra, before God created anything. Could you please turn off your, whoever just came in, turn off your microphone, and then if you have any questions, then open it up. But now I hear everything that's going on in the kitchen or wherever, whatever you're doing. Thank you. Okay. Oh, okay. So here we go. We have this word, Reishit. Reishit means Chachma. Chachma, corresponding in the human being, we're made in the image of God. It says corresponding to us, Chachma is this thing of faith, connection to something above understanding. And this is expressed, our faith and our what's above understanding, our humanness is expressed mainly through our actions and our speech. God said that he created, in the Torah it says God created the world through his speech. Through his speech. So that's this part of this Bereishis, which was before Bora, before Bria, is this two types of Bereishis, God's potential to speak, and also God's, we want to call it his essence, his Chachma, his wisdom. Other places it says that's God's Torah. So this upper speech of God, which is the second aspect of God's wisdom, Hari Reishit, this is the beginning to the midot, to the 7 days of creation, 6 days of move on, so it's understood. Morgash, we can feel this in ourselves. Dibur, our power of speech, shorsho, its source comes from Chachma. Like we said, Abba, you said brata. Abba means that's father. This is our chachma, our power, our essence of humanness. This is what creates our ability to speak. Animals can't speak. Animals, they make sounds. Some make very complicated sounds, right? Like parrots and things like that, but they don't really communicate to each other in things which are outside of what you can see and feel. An animal can't change another animal's mind, right? Can't change. You can let them know that there's food over here. There's water. Even though it says that King Solomon understood the speech of the birds, right? But it doesn't mean that the birds were saying things, they were saying ideas. Just certain things were coming through their speech, breaking into the Shalah Kodesh, explain. The Yeshno Adibur, there is speech as it is still included in Chachma. That's why it's saying Bereishit. Bereishit is one word. The essence of God, called God's wisdom, and God's ability to speak. How God's speech is included in his Chachma. Another word for Chachma, by the way, is life. Right? On one hand, everybody's alive and nobody understands what it is. That's this aspect of Chachma. And this is expressed through speech. Same thing with God. That's Bereishit, means God's Chachma, the essence of God, and also that's called Chachma Ilah, and the lower Chachma, Chachma Tatoa, that's God's ability to speak. And they're all included in one. That's why they're in one word, Hainu, Chachma Tatoa. That's what's called the lower wisdom of God, God's speech. Kamosha Yataklul, as it was included, first of all, in the upper Chachma. The Zeu, this is Kamo Shehamida. This is just like an emotions as they are included in a person's mind still. Shezeu Kamo Ot Yud. Right? Someone comes up to someone and said, listen, your stocks just fell, you lost $20 million. The person starts to scream and yell, oh, I don't believe it. It says, yes, but you should know that anyone, because of that, as you were saved from a bigger tragedy. Anybody that had any money, robbers came down, they stole all, like the story with Rabbi Akiva, that he lost his, oh, now he's happy. He had this happiness and the sadness was in his mind. But it had to be brought out, but it was included inside of his mind. That's like emotions as they are in a person's mind before they come out. For instance, the letter Yud. The letter Yud. Yud is one of the letters of the Hebrew alphabet, right? Well, if you spell out, that's called a milui. You spell out the letter Yud. How do you spell it? Yud Vav Daled. Yud. That's how it's pronounced. Yud. The letter Yud itself can't be pronounced. It has to have a vowel under it or something. If you want to pronounce the letter Yud, then it's Yud. Yud Vav Daled. That's how. So the letter Yud has inside of it Vav Daled. Sha'olim, that this Vav Daled also it comes out the gematria numerical value of 10. That's called the milui. In Kabbalah, they make a big thing out of this. The milui of a number. There's if you have a Chabad Siddur, we say Petach Eliyahu in the beginning, right before Shabbat, and it talks about there that there's the name Ma, Mem Hey, 45. And it says that's one of the spellings of God's name, Yud Hey Vav Ke, but you fill it up with letter A, and it comes out, it says over there how you fill it up. It's called the milui. God's name alone is 26. But if you fill the Yud with Vav Daled, that adds on another 10. Another Hey, you fill it up with Hey. But how it's spelled. In any case, that's what's called the milui. Every letter, in order to pronounce it, it has to have other letters which are hidden inside of it. Right? For instance, Yud has a Vav and a Daled that you can't see, but that's how you pronounce the word. Sharomazim, that this Yud, Vav Daled, this hints at Vav is emotions and Daled is speech. It says this Yud, this hints at Chachma. And Vav hints at emotions of God, and the Daled hints at God's speech. That's what it says, Bereishit. And afterwards it says, Bereishit, Bora, God created the heavens and the earth. Hainu ki shamayim. What is shamayim? Eshumayim, fire and water. Fire and water. This hints at the upper God's emotions. Fire is the side of gevura, power. Water is the side of God's kindness, right? Between those two, kindness is unlimited. Gevura is limitation, right? You need both of them. If all you have is limitation, God wouldn't give anything. If all you have is just giving with no limitation, then it's confusion. There's no world. So you have to have both of them. That's called God's emotions. The word for emotions, by the way, is measures, midot, God's emotions. Okay, this is this is a big secret. This is what's called the secret of faith. The secret of faith. We talked about this before. Secret of faith. The secret of faith is that God has a personality. If you don't think that God has a personality, this leads people to idolatry. God is so far away, how can I get to him? He's got no personality. He's just this sort of amorphous. That's something, by the way, like what the Hindus believe in. God is so far away and he's so this, he has all these other powers in between that deal with the world. We say no, the secret of faith is that God has a personality and that God cares. And that always says we are made in God's image is true. It can't be taken at face value. I mean, it doesn't mean that, you look up with a telescope, you can see God's nose or something. But still, God has a personality. And this personality, he cares about us and he interacts with us. And we act, God reacts. So God says, as God has God's, what's called his wisdom, the essence of God's personality, that's Chachma. And this, like the letter Yud, God's name is Yud and then Hey Vav Hey. Yud is Chachma, Hey is Bina. The Yud, we say, contains in it everything else. It contains Yud, Vav Dalet. That says Vav is the emotions, the midot of Atzilut. We talked about Atzilut in the beginning. God created the heavens. That's the upper emotions. It's inside of this Bereishit. And the earth. This is Malchut. This is God's ability to speak, create the world. And that's what was there, Bereishit, before God created the world. God's ability to speak, that's what's called the lower wisdom of God. Reishit is Chachma. Beit Reishit means there's two Chachmas. One Chachma of God is the beginning, and the other one is how God reveals this below, like I said, speech, God's speech. Kamoshi, like it is on its own, without being included in Chachma Iloh. That's the earth. So first of all, we have Bereishit. In Bereishit is included everything, especially the upper Chachma and the lower Chachma. Chachma and Malchut. When it says God created the heavens, that's how God created his emotions. And the earth, that's how God's Malchut comes out to be revealed. Okay, but this is still all in Atzilut. God has not yet spoken. His Malchut is not yet activated. God did not create anything. Then God said, let there be light. Tamadavar, the reason why Malchut is separate. What does it say? The heavens and the earth. Why is it separated? Odpam, another time. It already says Bereishit, Beit Reishit, right? The two Reishit is Chachma and Malchut. That's enough. And then afterwards it goes over again. At the Shamayim, that's the emotions. Good, didn't say that before. And the earth. Again, God's Chachma, again, God's Malchut. Why does it have to say again? Shahari Kavar Nizkar. Well, it already was included in the word Bereishit. We said it's two Reishit. Namely, how Malchut is included in Chachma. In Bereishit, there was already hinted at Malchut. Lama Nifrata Odpam. Why do we have to say at the Shema the Ha'oretz? Why? The reason is because in the book of the Pardes is a Kabbalah book written by Rabbi Moshe Cordovero, who was buried in Tzfat right below the Arizal, in the Shar al-Machri'im, chapter Gimel. He asks a question, and we're going to leave it at this question. Why is mentioned in the book of Yetzirah, Sefer Yetzirah, only three foundations: fire, wind, and water? All right, let's go into this a little tiny bit. It says there's 22 letters in the Hebrew alphabet. The world is created from these 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet. There's a book called Sefer Yetzirah. I think you can even download the book. And in case you can buy it. I'm sure some people even translate it in English. Sefer Yetzirah. This book, you can use this book, if you know how to do it, I don't, to make a human being. You can make a human being that can't speak. We learned this yesterday. Rabba Bragover. It's in the Gemara in Sanhedrin, page 65. Rabba Bragover. It says that Rabba created a human being. We know the story of the Maharal MiPrague. He created a human being. It says if you know how to use these 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet properly, then you can create people. Right? You can create a golem. I personally think there's enough golems around. You don't have to create more golems. The problem is to take golems and to make a real person from them, to make yourself, right? A person has to make himself into a human being instead of a golem. Enough golems. Okay. It says that, how do you do it? Because there's the secret of the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet that God used to create the world. And these 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet can be divided into Shlosh Emus, Sheva Kafulos, Shtem Esrei Pshutos. There are 3 mother letters, 7 double letters, and 12 simple letters. That's what it says in the Sefer Yetzirah. Just repeating to you. So it says, what are the 3 mother letters? What are the 3 letters? 3 letters. It says Emesh, Eish, Emesh, Avir, Mayim, Eish. Shin, the Shin is Emesh. The 7 doubles in the Tanya, it says this 3rd chapter of the Tanya. Begid Kafrat. There's all the letters that have a dot inside of it. And then all the others are called simple letters. In any case, when it says the 3 simple letters, it's talking about the 3 elements, which are fire, wind, and water. 3 elements. Hey, 1 minute. There's 4 elements. There's not 3 elements. There's earth, air, fire, and water. Why does it only say fire, air, and water? What happened to earth? The Sefer Yetzirah is talking about the creation of the world. How could it leave out such a basic thing like that? Earth. It says Yesod Rabbi that the 4th foundation, this is the foundation of dirt. It doesn't mention. Why not? It says because the foundation of dirt, this, even though it's one of the foundations, but it includes all the other 3. All the other 3 come out from it. And that's going to be like this letter Yud of God's name, and that's going to be like this letter Bereishit, the word Bereishit, that includes everything after it. Okay, so we began to answer, and this ends the Chassidic class. We're going to learn the Sikha now, but we began to answer, why does it say Bereishit in the beginning? Why the word Bereishit? The word Bereishit is not biblical language. It should have said Batchala. And afterwards, it also enumerates all the creation of the world, what God did. So it says Bereishit, this is talking about Atzilut. This whole sentence is talking about Atzilut. And afterwards, when it talks about creation, it enumerates, that's talking about from Bria and below. So this sentence is before the creation. It's not the beginning of the creation, so to speak. This is the preface to the creation, the world of Atzilut, as we'll talk about more, God willing, tomorrow.